Yellowstone Season 5 gave a lovely preview of Beth and Rip's future if John Dutton III didn't die, leaving them with far too much responsibility for what Episode 10 teases. Kelly Riley and Cole Hauser's characters have been lovebirds at the Yellowstone Dutton Ranch since they were young, and they finally tied the knot after years of chasing each other in the Yellowstone Season 4 finale. Still, Beth and Rip can have anything but a traditional happy ending. The pair has too much responsibility now that John Dutton III has met his fate, leaving the ranch's future uncertain. In Episode 10, Yellowstone Season 5, Part 2 flashes back to Rip's time in Texas. The Yellowstone foreman headed down to the Lone Star State in the Part 1 finale, and it didn't take long for his wife to catch up with him. Beth comes to visit Rip at the 4 Sixes ranch, but rather than pitch a tent to see her husband, she sweetly kidnaps him and gets them a hotel room in Amarillo. During her time in Texas, Beth was pleasantly surprised by the state. At the hotel speakeasy, Yellowstone previews what Rip and Beth's life looks like outside Montana. Yellowstone Season 5, Episode 10 drops hints at Beth and Rip's future if John didn't die. Beth and Rip thrive in Texas. In Yellowstone Season 5, Episode 10, Beth remarks that it's the couple's first time out of Montana together as they embrace in bed. Rip tells his spouse that it's the first time he's ever been out of the state. Beth asks whether Rip has ever been to the beach, and he says no. The moment causes Beth to reflect on the couple's life outside Montana, telling her husband to imagine what they could make of their shared experience if not shackled to the ranch. Rip reminds Beth that he chose that fate. There's a moment when Beth is driving in to surprise Rip, and she gets pulled over by a law enforcement officer. They see she's been speeding, but when Beth coolly explains she's on her way to meet her husband at the 4 Sixes ranch, the officer lets her go with a warning, mainly for Beth's safety, and a thank you for what her husband does. Beth couldn't believe the Texas officer's gratitude for her family's business. Plus, Beth notices no tourists at the hotel. Thus, Yellowstone Season 5 shows how perfect the couple is in Texas cowboy country. John's death effectively traps Rip and Beth in Montana. They need to protect the ranch. Kevin Costner as John Dutton, Kelly Riley as Beth, and Cole Hauser as Rip in Yellowstone custom image by Debanjana Chowdhury. Despite the apocalypse of change teasing how perfect the cowboy and his wife are in the great state, the couple's fate lies in Montana's Paradise Valley, at least for now. John Dutton needed his daughter around to help him protect the ranch. Now that he's dead, Beth isn't off the hook. The ranch needs Beth more than ever, as she and her brother Case are the only ones left to fight for John's legacy. The ranch has already trapped Beth, which is alluded to in Season 2 when Riley's character calls it the Alamo. Beth knows she's stuck there. Beth has to protect the ranch from her adopted brother, Jamie, Wes Bentley, who has officially been working against his adopted family since he impeached John in the Yellowstone Season 5, Part 1 finale. Jamie is working with Sarah Atwood, Dawn Olivieri, to take down the Dutton patriarch so that he can become governor and reinstate the lease for Market Equities Airport. Thus, Beth and Rip are another generation of the Dutton family tree in Yellowstone that must fight to protect their ranch from others who would take it, like Jacob and Kara in 1924. Can Beth and Rip still leave Montana in Yellowstone? How will Beth and Rip's Yellowstone Season 5 story end? Beth and Rip embracing in Yellowstone. If Yellowstone plans to continue with Season 6, it's nearly impossible to imagine Yellowstone continuing without Hauser and Riley's characters. However, if Yellowstone Season 5, Part 2 is setting up a sequel, it's easy to imagine Rip and Beth at its center, carrying on the Yellowstone Dutton legacy somewhere other than Big Sky Country. There's a slight chance that once all the dust settles from Beth and Jamie's Yellowstone War, Case and Monica set up to run the ranch without Beth and Rip. Still, it's unclear if Luke Grimes and Kelsey Asbill could continue the story without Riley and Hauser. If the lovebirds leave Montana, they know just where to go. Beth makes it clear in Yellowstone Season 5, Episode 10, that she's a fan of the great state of Texas. Beyond the absence of tourists, Beth aspires to the business model of the 4 Sixes. If everything settles down at the ranch and Case can manage on his own, Beth and Rip could head south to open up a new branch of the Dutton Ranch in the Lone Star State. Still, it's hard to imagine them anywhere other than the Dutton Ranch. Regardless, they need to save it first.